And joining us now on the Book Talk segment of the show today, great to welcome a man who's written a very interesting book about an experience he went through. It's called Proof of Heaven. We're joined by Dr. Eben Alexander today, and experience he went through, what is known as a near-death experience, and boy, Doctor, you really did.
Yeah, it was an amazing journey, to say the least.
What's it been like? I mean, I'm sure you've been doing a lot of these interviews for the book. Does it get easier to talk about, more difficult, or what's it like to kind of recount it over and over?
I would say it gets easier and easier. I mean, one thing that's very good about it all is it seems to resonate with people, and I really think of myself as just reminding souls of something they really know already, and it's just a question of uncovering that knowing. And of course, a lot of people already get this, but for those who are kind of skeptical and tend to disbelieve near-death experiences, I think my experience helps to open them up very fully to knowing the reality of it.
And just to give a quick synopsis, you had one day just kind of woke up with a headache, and it turned into a grand mal seizure, right? And then you went into a coma, and for 7 days you were in a coma, and you had these, I don't know if it was a dream at a time, but you saw different things while you were in the coma, right?
Right, and it happened actually 4 years ago this week, and it was very sudden, severe. Within about 3 hours of symptom onset, I was driven deep into coma with a grand mal seizure, put on a ventilator, and spent the next 7 days completely gone from this world. When I got to the emergency room, I had about a 10% chance of survival. By the end of the week, not responding to antibiotics very well, I was down to about 2% chance, with no chance of neurologic recovery. And then, of course, I started coming back and surprised everybody with a very rapid recovery. And I had all these memories that initially I just thought were bizarre, but then came to realize were not some dream or fantasy, but were very real.
Well, I thought it was really fascinating. Usually when you have a dream in your regular life, you wake up, and it's so vivid when you're having it. When you wake up, you forget a lot about it. You don't know the details, and your details are very, very vivid and very specific. So that stayed with you, I guess, obviously, to write it out, right?
Yes, even now, 4 years later, it's as if it happened yesterday. Those memories are very sharp, and yet after I came out of coma, when I was starting to interact with people in the ICU around me, I ended up going in and out of a very psychotic, paranoid nightmare, and that had a lot of language in it, which is very different from the ultra-real memories from deep inside coma. But it was kind of a bizarre nightmare, and those memories have faded tremendously. I have a lot of trouble remembering that nightmare piece, because that was brain-based, whereas the deeper part, the ultra-real, beautiful, idyllic realms I went to, especially the gateway and the core, were very pure, ultra-real memories because they occurred outside of the brain, outside of the physical universe.
So it's more than just what was happening in the brain itself physically. You felt there was something else going on.
Well, I know that there was much more going on, because I had a very rich experience, and being deep in the middle of a severe meningitis, I should not have had any experience. And not only that, but I cycled from what I call the earthworm eye view, which is a coarse, murky underground realm, up through the idyllic realm, the beautiful valley, with the beautiful girl on the butterfly wing, and all the flowers and angels and all the earthly trappings that hang up all the skeptics, but then up into the realm outside of the entire higher dimensional multiverse, outside all space and time, with the deity, full and complete unconditional love, and the orb of light, where I was taught many lessons, also taught I'd be going back, but then I would tumble back down to the earthworm eye view, and I had to recall the memory to work my way back up. And I did that several times, which was mysterious at first, but weeks out after my coma, I realized that was telling me the reality of the realm. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a dream. It was not a fantasy. It could not have been.
During this whole experience, you mentioned you saw different things. Was there people actually, you could hear language, people talking, you talking to them, they talking to you, anything like that, or was it all visual?
It was much cleaner than that. It was basically pure conceptual flow. And for example, when I was outside of the universe, in the core, with that divine, infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely powerful, all-loving divinity who many would call God and that orb of light and taught these many lessons. Conceptual flow about the physical makeup of the universe, higher dimensional space-time, causality in the outer realms versus these lower realms, the purpose of our existence, the importance of love and compassion and forgiveness when we're down in this imperfect realm. All of many lessons that I learned there, they were as pure conceptual flow, not in language, not with the bottleneck of language, and often even becoming the entire scene as part of what they were showing me. So the kind of information interchange there is so extreme and different from our earthly mode of thought and knowledge that it really kind of loses everything in translation trying to explain it to people here. But other people who've had deep transcendental near-death experiences, they get it right out of the box. Of course, it's something where the experience easily is identifiable to those who have been there.
After this experience was over and you got back to normal health, which congratulations on that. I mean, you said it was a 2% chance or less to come back from that. That's amazing in itself. What was the process like of writing it down? Did you talk it into a tape recorder, or how did you do it?
Well, originally, my intent was to write this up as a neuroscientific report to try and explain the ultra-reality, especially given the fact that I had such a severe meningitis. It should have really just stomped out any possibility of rich experience. And I went through 9 different hypotheses that I reviewed with other neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, trying to get to some understanding of how this would have happened in the brain. And because of the severe meningitis, I mean, anything else that would have put me in coma, and I never could have gone as far with concluding that it had to happen in reality and did not happen in my brain or in the physical universe, and to know the importance of what that's really telling me. And of course, beyond that point, I had to come to grips with all of it, and I had to learn a lot more about consciousness than I ever knew before, especially the hard problem of consciousness, which many think is the most insoluble problem known to all of humanity, and I would say it is, that we cannot possibly know how consciousness emerges from the physical brain, because it doesn't. And that is a crucial part of the lesson. Also, the enigma of quantum mechanics is very instructive about the role of consciousness in creating reality, and tells us a tremendous amount about all of existence just from knowing those features.
As a neurosurgeon, if people don't know, you're a neurosurgeon. I guess when you study science or medicine, sometimes the spiritual aspect isn't really, part of the curriculum. But I guess going through this, that has got to change your outlook a little bit. If it wasn't there before, it has to be there now, right? The spiritual aspect.
Totally. And what I realize is that science is a wonderful way towards truth, and our current science simply needs to have much broader boundaries. And admit that the current version of neuroscience and science has no notion whatsoever how consciousness comes up out of the brain, and that's because it doesn't. So our scientific boundaries need to be greatly broadened to encompass this unfathomable mystery of our conscious existence, and that consciousness is not limited to the brain, even when we're here in our physical life. There are many phenomena of consciousness, as explained in the book Irreducible Mind, that go very far towards saying that consciousness is a non-local experience. Also, Pim Van Lommel's book, Consciousness Beyond Life, both of those are tremendous resources for people to know that consciousness is not limited to the physical brain at all.
Yeah. Well, it's a fascinating story, and again, the details are very vivid, specific, and I think people are going to get some real good insight into what you went through. It's called Proof of Heaven, the name of the book. We've been talking with Dr. Eben Alexander today, and Doctor, give out a website to get a hold of you or the book.
Yes, people can go to lifebeyonddeath.net and also visit Eternia, ETERNEA.org, and that first site is my book site, my personal site, lots of information about me. The second site, Eternia.org, people can share their own spiritually transformative experiences and learn a lot more about the physics of consciousness and how science and spirituality can be brought together. They strengthen each other.
Great, Doctor. I assume everything's okay now, so we're happy you came back. I guess you have a little more insight than the rest of us on what's going to happen eventually. It's a good thing, right?
I think we all can get this insight, and what I say in the book, you don't need to almost die to get this, but centering prayer, deep meditation, and I go into certain auditory techniques for boosting meditative states of consciousness, and we can all know this very same knowing.
Great.
You don't have to almost die to get it.
Doctor, pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully we can do it again down the road. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.